This is Law and Order SVU Season 1, Episode 21, Nocturne. Guys, ready for some moral gray area? So we open up and we're watching pictures being printed off. They're all of a little boy and it's like a progression of him getting undressed. The guy who works at the photo printer shop is like, this feels icky. You think? So he calls it in. Benson and Stabler are on the scene getting the information. The guy who dropped the film off, his name is Larry Holt. Benson says, we're gonna have a really hard time getting this guy on child porn. Because of the alcohol in the picture, we can get him on endangering the welfare of a child, but let's go ahead and follow him for a little while and see what we can get. But guess who walks in? Yup, Mr. Larry Pervert Holt. You know who he was? He was a piano teacher. You know who the kid in the picture was? One of his students. We jump to an interrogation room and Cragen is not pleased. He jumped the gun on this one, guys. Benson's like, we didn't have a choice. He would have gone home and destroyed any other evidence. Cragen doesn't think they have enough evidence. But Stabler's like, look at these pictures. They're sexualized pictures and we want a warrant. And just then, Holt's lawyer comes in. He's very smooth. Can I have my client's keys? What do you need them for? I need to feed the dog. The dog will be fine. Where are my client's keys? Clearly this douchebag wants to get into this apartment. Let's get a uniform to guard that door until we can get a warrant. To get a warrant, we need probable cause. Benson and Stabler get to Holt's building. Shit, is this all Holt's? What's this rich white guy doing in this neighborhood buying a whole building across from an elementary school? And as they're standing there, this little kid runs into him. Excuse me. He has piano lessons. It's the kid from the picture. So that little boy's name is Jonathan. We cut to a scene where Benson is interviewing him and his dad is there too. And here's that famous Olivia Benson bedside manner. So Jonathan, is Mr. Holt a good teacher? Does he ever touch you? Does he ever take pictures? He says, yeah. And we call them snappies. And one time I found a whole bunch of snappies. These boys didn't have clothes on. And of course his dad is horrified. Cragen's on the other side of the mirror. Well, there's your probable cause. We gotta move. Lose the uniform in front of his door in like 2 hours. And if we don't get into that house before somebody else does, who knows what kind of evidence we'll lose. Holt's lawyer is pushing for arraignment, so we need a warrant now. The other guy who is not Stabler, I don't know who this guy is. He might be an ADA, he might be another detective, I don't even know. I've never seen him before. He's kind of cute. Anyway, he says, I'm on it. Judge Rothman owes me a favor. So we jump to Judge Rothman's house. She's throwing like a dinner party. And she's reading off all the things on the warrant that they are allowed to search for. Pictures, magazines. Stabler says, can we add on videotapes? Anything else? Boom, here's your warrant. 3 minutes to 9. Olivia, Munch, and a whole bunch of other dudes are outside of the apartment. Olivia says, we got it, let's go. And they go in, and it's dark. It's really quiet in here. Munch says, well, maybe the dog died. And then Munch finds it. A disguised door. And inside is a TV. Click it on, boom. And then they look to the side, and it's a floor-to-ceiling bookcase filled with cassettes. And then Munch looks over at Benson, who's standing in front of another wall-to-ceiling bookshelf filled with fucking cassettes. You can guess what's on them. We jump to the court, where they've got pedophile Holt up for his hearing. The defendant is charged with endangering the welfare of a child. How many tapes did you find? The count is up to 157. And the judge is just like, holy fucking shit. We're charging you with 44 counts. His lawyer's like, wait. They haven't seen all those videotapes. You don't know what's on them. Ugh. So that means there's gotta be a discovery process. Bail is denied, defendant is remanded, boom. He's gonna wait in jail until they can get through all of his porn stash. We jump over to the precinct and the whole team is in watching this video. It's just the first one. The very first child that they show is young, like Jonathan was. They show him at the piano and he has kind of this mannerism where he rubs his eyebrow. They jump to a different boy, just showing the grooming process of an abuser. And we jump to another boy. He's older and it shows Holt abusing him. And then it jumps to a slightly older boy. Benson says, "Jeez, how many boys are there? And that boy rubs his eyebrow. This is the same kid over years and years and years. They get to the end of that video and they're all like, Cragen says, well, we're gonna have to go through these tapes because there's probably 50 to 100 other victims here. And everybody's like, not it. But as much as I hate Munch, this dude steps up and says, I'll do it. He takes one for the team, man. The problem is you can't pin abuse on somebody without a victim. We need that kid, the eyebrow rubber. So the team goes back to the neighborhood and they start asking around. Here's what they find out. The community, which is decidedly underprivileged, they all see Holt as a godsend to these kids who don't have great opportunities. And to an extent, they know that something is wrong, but nobody has said anything. And as they're walking back past Holt's apartment, they hear piano playing. What the fuck? They find this dude so in the moment, he can't even respond when they're like, hey, hello, you can't be in here. And he's amazing. He's really good. How did you get in here? I have keys. Can I help you? We're looking for this kid. He looks at him. He rubs his eyebrow. It's him. We jump over to an interview room and we're questioning this kid. His name is Evan and he's so good at piano that he's auditioning for Juilliard in like 3 days. If I get in, it'll be because of Mr. Holt. He's a good teacher. He always pushed me to be my best. Benson turns on that bedside manner. I need to talk to you about your teacher. He denies everything. On the other side of the glass, Cragen's like, we gotta show him the videotape. Stabler's like, no, because that is going to wreck him. With all this child porn, we have to have enough to put him away for a long time. Not long enough though. Fucking 7 years max? No, sorry if it's gonna ruin his life, but let's show him the tape. So Cragen goes in. Okay, Evan, this is going to probably be upsetting. They push play and Evan quickly realizes that he's watching a video of his 8-year-old self being victimized. It fucking wrecks him. He's like, no, no, no. He runs to the corner and crumbles. Stabler pops his head in and his look just says, I told you this was gonna happen, Cragen. So a few days later, they're back in the neighborhood talking to Evan's trash mom, who's smoking in her own kitchen, complaining about how expensive Juilliard is gonna be. Benson and Stabler are actually there to talk to Evan. They need help identifying the kids. Evan is hesitant. This Holt is his teacher, his beloved teacher. He cares about me. 1 year he bought me a coat. Fine, I'll help you. This kid, he's in jail. This kid, he's dead. This kid, he's a junkie. This other kid, we don't even fucking know where he is anymore. I'm one of the lucky ones. We're back at the precinct and we're kind of going over what we have so far against Holt. And it's not much. Well, we can get him on 2 counts of abuse against Evan. Jeffries is like, what the fuck? 2 counts? Well, we can only go back 5 years. Wait, no. That law was changed in 96. Child abuse can be prosecuted up to 5 years after the child's 18th birthday. That's still way fuck ton more than 2 counts. No, because there's no grandfather clause for abuse before 96. So everything that Holt did to Evan up until he was 16 is inadmissible. And then everything after 17 is technically consensual. Basically, they have 1 year to work with. And they might not even have that because Evan doesn't seem like he wants to testify. Meanwhile, poor Munch is trying to get through these fucking videotapes and he is having a hard time. Megan's like, go home, Munch. I got 2 more tapes. We jump to Stabler's house and he's reading his kids a book like a hot dad. He gets a phone call. Who is it? It's Evan. So Stabler meets him at a diner. His mom kicked him out of the house. She didn't want a gay person in her house. I think I want to testify. Do you think I'm gay? I don't know. But I do know that there's a big ass difference between homosexuality and pedophilia. And what happened to you was pedophilia. Then he gets him set up with some like temporary housing. We have a slight detour where they're in the courtroom with Evan trying to prep him to testify. And it's clear that he's a little bit mentally and emotionally stunted because of all the abuse, which only further endears him to Stabler, which all comes fucking crashing down when Stabler gets back to the precinct. Munch is staring at him from like the shadows. Hey, how do you think Holt got the way he was? Do you think he was also abused? Ugh! I don't know. Jesus. I'm going after the abuser and protecting the abused. I gotta show you something. Stabler follows Munch into the video room and Munch hits play. Evan is giving a piano lesson to Jonathan and in walks Holt and says, oh, he's not feeling the music. Evan, help him feel the music. Stabler is upset. So then we jump to Evan, who's in an interrogation room. That's how I learned to play. But it only happened the one time. Cragen's in there and says that he's going to be arraigned this afternoon. However, they can probably cut a deal under the circumstances because they want to fucking get Holt. Stabler is not a fan that they're going to give him a deal. Is abuse an excuse for an abuser? Is it a reason? Stabler says he had a choice. But Cragen gets all dad on Stabler and says, you know what's eating you? The little boy in that tape. What choice did he have? Quick jump over to the court where the judge sets Evan's bail at $25,000. His lawyer's like, can we approach the bench? Okay, judge, here's the deal. He can't fucking pay that. He's poor as shit. Okay, fine. We'll release him until his testimony is complete. So they have to put him up in a hotel with supervision. Guess who gets to be there with him? Stabler. And he's pissed. So then we jump to the next day. Evan is on the stand in Holt's case. Prosecutor asks him if Holt ever touched him. The music swells. And he says, yes. They get to the sentencing phase of Holt's case. Mr. Holt, I sentence you to 115 years, the maximum sentence allowed. He'll be eligible for parole after 38 years, but this motherfucker's already in his 60s, so after the trial, we jump to the precinct when we're talking to Jonathan's dad. And his dad is pissed. We're trying to keep Jonathan from the trauma of a trial. He'll have heavily supervised probation. Oh, it's a done deal? Well, then undo it. Or else I'm going to every news station that's going to fucking listen to me and I'm going to tell them that you prioritize some pedophiles over other pedophiles. So for our last scene, we jump into the room with Evan. We find out that he was accepted to Juilliard. So here's the deal. If Evan pleads guilty, we don't go to trial, but he'll probably get the max, which is 3 years. If we take the plea, he'll get a couple of years of probation. All these dudes are congratulating themselves. Yeah, let's take the deal, yeah. And Evan, he says no, he's rejecting the deal. His lawyer says, but you'll spend 3 years in jail. Say goodbye to Juilliard. And the way that Stabler glances at him lets us know that Stabler has regained some respect for this dude. I don't know why Holt is the way that he is, but I know why I am how I am. And it stops here. Fades to black, Dick Wolf, and that was Law & Order SVU Season 1, Episode 21. Jum jum!